Good morning, hello, and welcome to our webinar today. As you are sharing where you're coming in from, hello to Netherlands, Uganda, amazing. My name is Katarina. I am the chapter lead for Travel Massive Toronto and the researcher behind the study that has been the inspiration for this entire webinar, which you may have seen earlier this year. It came out in February. You can find a link to it in chat. The idea there was to kind of understand what the relationship is between travel industry providers and travel industry creators. And when we say creators, we do mean journalists, photographers, bloggers, and kind of the combination of people who create content for travel. And the idea of this webinar is to continue that conversation in real time. Hello, Scotland, Cape Town, amazing. So feel free to add your questions throughout the webinar. We will get to them a little bit later in the hour. Jasmine from Toronto Travel Massive will be keeping an eye on all of your questions, and we'll get to them when the time comes in. In the meantime, we have an amazing lineup of speakers, and we'll let them to introduce themselves. Please welcome Ashley.
Hi, thank you so much, Katarina. My name is Ashley Norman. I'm Vice President of Marketing Communications for PTG Consulting's tourism practice. PTG Consulting is a global travel and tourism marketing company. We have clients all over the world in both the DMO space as well as independent hotels. And we also have team members in key markets all over the world. So much of our business is focused on international tourism marketing and connecting destinations with key markets of interest.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ashley. Kim, please introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Kimberly Aaron Davies, and I am a full-time travel content creator. I specialize in short form video, so that would be like your Instagram, your TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. I also have a blog, and I have worked with many national tourism boards, local tourism boards, outdoor companies, and anything around destination marketing.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kimberly. And let's also welcome Felix.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Katrina. My name is Felix Fontin. I'm a partnership manager specializing in the creator space at Stay22. Stay22 is a small affiliate network based in Montreal. We work with over 4,000 creators on every continent across the world, and we help people make money using AI and amazing tools on a daily basis.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Felix. And I'm seeing a lot more people coming in. Hello, Canada, London. Amazing. Okay, we will begin this conversation with Ashley.
Great.
So thinking about kind of looking ahead into 2025, 2026, who are you looking to work with right now in terms of creators?
Sure. I think first and foremost, we want to work with creators that value long-term partnerships and want to get to know us, get to know what our clients are about, and find ways that we can work together, not just on one project now, but extended, for an extended term. I think it's, really beneficial to everybody when our engagements aren't really one and done, but we love when a creator, across any vertical comes to us and has a great idea to pitch on behalf of one of our clients, or wants to talk about future collaborations. We absolutely love those type of two-way relationships with creators. I think, we're also really strongly focused on working with partners that can share exposure for our destination across multiple channels. Obviously, almost everyone's kind of a multimedia journalist or creator in some respects now. So, our clients really appreciate that when we are hosting someone in destination or recommending someone for a partnership, they know they're getting the best return on investment possible because we're getting, immediate exposure on Instagram and TikTok, either, an organic or paid editorial content somewhere down the line, maybe a Substack, whatever we can do, we want to incorporate as many channels as possible. I think, something clients kind of have always wanted this, but we're seeing more stronger requests for partnering with creators who are not just travel experts, but people in adjacent spaces, lifestyle, culinary, outdoors, adventure, wellness, and bringing those messages for our clients directly to audiences in those segments. For us, when we venture outside of the kind of traditional travel influencer or travel reporter, it's most helpful, and we look to work with influencers or creators or journalists that we know understand, at least from a baseline level, kind of how the travel and tourism industry works, and all of the different parties that we have to make happy by through our marketing efforts and through investing in a partnership. So that might be a board member or various partners within the destination. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. So coming to the table as a partner with some sort of background, just on the tourism industry in general, is really helpful for us, no matter what subject we're talking about.
Great. So travel niche for the creator is essential. Is there any specific type of content that you're focusing on right now? Let's say social versus earned journalistic.
Sure. I think because we as a company working strictly with destinations that are all reporting up to boards of directors who have and the boards have members with various different opinions on kind of what works and the types of activities they would like to see. We're often delivering plans for our clients that are pretty evenly divided between tactics. So that would include, and pardon me, that would include earned media, um, influencer partnerships, fam trips for both of those groups, special events, road shows, etc. We tend to structure those pretty evenly, just so that everyone kind of sees what they like reflected in the overall plan. But once we find what those specific budgets are, that's when we really start to hone in on what activities we're looking at. And I would say, for us, video first campaigns, no matter where they're going to be published and if they're earned or paid partnerships, are really, really important for us. So, reels, TikToks, shorts, video stories, that sort of
YouTube?
thing is where we're placing a lot of our emphasis.
Okay. And YouTube, I imagine, is also on that list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Long form YouTube.
Long form too.
I budget depending, right? So we love when we have a client who has the budget and the enthusiasm for investing in longer form YouTube content. But if they're not that client, uh, we still look for opportunities for shorts or other options.
Speaking of budgets, you said you allocated fairly equally between the different type of content between earned and paid. Does that vary from client to client? And do budgets vary geographically? You have offices around the world, so I imagine it's a bit
Yes.
different between Canada and London.
Yes, absolutely. I think the US and Canada are where we tend to see the highest prices being asked for, for paid partnerships, and where we're allocating the most money for those paid partnerships. I would say, for us, and we represent, just to give an example of some of the destinations we work with several large DMOs in Mexico, the state of Jalisco, the state of Quintana Roo um, are two of our big ones. And so I would say, when you look at their programs overall, maybe they're investing half a million, I'd say like $500,000 or so, within their destination marketing for their primary markets. So for those size of DMOs, we're typically targeting creators with 200 to 500K following. Typically, the fees for those are 5 to 8 US, 5 to 8K USD, sometimes up to 10 or 12 and a half. Obviously, with YouTube, it's typically more. I'd say we're spending oftentimes 16, 18, 20 maybe on a YouTube campaign, and then potentially more depending on scope. But definitely US and Canada are where the prices are highest. London, they're getting there to be a little bit closer, but we find that in Europe there's more opportunity for negotiation, certainly, in terms of trade out basis or what the deliverables look like. We find that we're able to kind of get our budgets to go a little bit further with creators based in the European countries. In Latin America, I would say we're still having the most success in Latin America with trade agreements. We've just now start to see some of the bigger influencers coming to us requesting a fee, but I'd say those are more kind of like at the million mark, and the fees are say like 800 USD to 2000 USD is kind of what we're seeing and what our clients are open to considering.
For creator campaigns. Great.
Yeah.
And so speaking of creators and journalists, where do you find who you work with?
Sure. I think, it's a combination of using our influencer platform. Clear is the one that we use at PTG Consulting, which has been really great for us because it helps us, hone in on what any given influencer creator's engagement rate looks like. We're always looking for at least 3% at a minimum, and so that kind of helps us gauge what that engagement looks like. But I will say, outside of Clear, a lot of the influencers that we're finding are, that we're developing these relationships with, are a collective effort of our entire team being so online, staying on top of trends, following who the people we currently follow are following, and really just, being proactive in starting conversations with people that we find online. We also, I think, have some preferred agencies that we tend to work with. If we've had really great experience with certain influencer agencies, then we'll tend to go back to that manager and help matchmake different creators for different campaigns.
Great. And you do also host events, and your team does participate in different trade shows. We've met some of your team at TMAC this year. Yes. So those in-person connections are also of high value.
Yeah, I in person is favored whenever possible. We love meeting with people, making that personal connection. We have team members in Southern California and New York City, London, Beijing, Mexico City. So if anyone out there is going to be in those markets and interested in connecting with us, I always love getting a note that someone wants to meet with for a coffee and learn more about our clients and what we might be able to do together. We do have presence at trade shows, as you said, and many of our clients are often hosting in-market events as well. So, when I talked about earlier a bit about the long-term relationships that we develop with our partners, one of the things that we really value is when an influencer or creator has been to a destination, worked on a campaign with us, and really fallen in love with that destination, or, kind of learn about it and become an expert. When those folks can come to the events that we're having in their city and chat with other creators and media and guests about their experiences, that's so valuable to us. So, we love just people really who are open to and excited about being well-rounded partners and seeing what we can, do with each other for the duration.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ashley.
Sure.
That does touch on some of the foundings that we had in the study as well. And we found that majority of the creators, journalists included, all do a few different things. No one is just kind of niched into a single area. So seems like your side of the business values that multidisciplinary effort as well.
Absolutely. And I think emerging areas as well, right? I mean, Substack has been a hot topic of conversation, especially here in the US, I think, since the beginning of the year. So, what other newsletter-based opportunities are popping up that creators and journalists are, using to showcase their work or, as alternative outlets for additional exposure. Anything in that area, we love exploring. And we also love when a creator or a journalist or, photographer, videographer brings to us something that's kind of bubbling that we might not have delved into yet. So.
Amazing. Thank you so much. This feels like a great bridge to move on to Kimberly.
Hello.
Hi. How do you find your partnerships?
I think it's a combination of different things. When it comes to large, like national tourism boards, they often come to me. As she said, to echo that, they've been searching and they've selected influencers that are focused on their campaigns at the time. So I work in adventure, travel, outdoors, and wellness. So if they're in that kind of natural sphere, I might be someone they look at. So then they would reach out to me. But I have also reached out to local tourism boards if I'm going to be in the area already. And that's usually a pretty positive response because I'm already there and I'm looking to form a relationship with them. I've also cold pitched to the destination PR firms that they were talking about because sometimes they might not know that you exist. So I often cold pitch to them and throw my name out there and say, this is what I do, and here's some statistics on me, which gives them in turn the opportunity to invite me to events that they might host for that destination. So Visit Miami is putting on an event in Toronto, then I might be put on that list. And then you have the immediate opportunity to have some of that in-person networking without having to invest in a conference like TMAC. I have also, this is in the study, used some influencer platforms. Like she said, I'm on Clear, but I've also used hashtag paid and aspired, which sometimes brands, Visit Toronto, Destination Toronto has one on hashtag paid where you could apply as an influencer to that campaign and maybe get them. That's a great way to get them to know who you are. Those are less successful and less frequent than I'd say the national tourism boards or the local tourism boards. And then also I think that like timing on your pitches is very important. So like if there's an event or festival that you think you could cover that fits within your niche and you reach out to them and pitch that as an idea, then often you'll get a response. So basically from my end as a content creator and influencer, it's a combination of pitching and starting conversations with people in the destination marketing and travel outdoor space.
Amazing. And just as a quick follow-up to that, what is your preferred outreach method?
I mean, of course, it's nice when the tourism board comes to you. You feel really good about yourself. I actually don't mind cold pitching or shouting out to the tourism board.
So I mean, like email, Instagram, what's your channel?
Email 100% of the time. Like I will reach out to their Instagram if I can get the correct email to send. But I feel like it seems more professional and it keeps everything together in one clear space if I just always turn it towards like an email thread as opposed to reaching out in DMs on Instagram and TikTok or YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've heard similar sentiments in the previous webinar we held on press trips, and that same kind of actually came up in the study as well, that email does seem a bit more professional. But as a side note to that too, often the people who manage social media are not the same people who have the power to handle these requests.
Right, which is why like if I do slide into a DM on social media, then I'll just ask them like, hey, this is what I'm interested in. Is there a way you could direct me to the correct contact? Yeah. And then go from there.
It is still very much business. When it comes to paid collaborations, how do you decide which ones you're willing to go on just as a partnership and which ones become paid collabs?
It's a difficult space to be in as a creator because there is really no hard line for this. I think, of course, like it's preferred to have a paid collaboration because sometimes I think there's like an idea that gets confused as like, we're sending you to this destination for free, that you're getting a free trip out of this destination, and that and plus exposure is going to be like your payment. But at the same time, it's a work trip for us. I think sometimes that gets a little bit misunderstood. It's like, if I'm going to go to Mexico to stay at a resort, you know, I'm not going to wake up at 5 a.m. to get shots of the hotel when nobody else is in it, and do all of these activities and at this specific time and at this specific pacing. So you kind of go in with a completely different mindset than like, I'm getting paid with a free trip. You go in with the mindset is like, this is the content that I need to gather to provide the deliverables that they're asking. And deliverables are also a big part of it. So if I'm getting a request to go on a trip and they've given me this big list of deliverables, whether that's a long form YouTube video, which, you know, it's pretty extensive timing to create, all of your short form videos, they want a blog post, they want stories and all of these things. Like, the deliverables are so big that it's going to take a week of my time to be on that trip and working on that trip, and then another couple weeks after that trip to put everything together. You have to really step back and consider like your value and time as a creator. So I don't love to accept collaborations based on only exchange. I also think that offering a paid collaboration, you know, it it inspires better content from your creators too, because now like we're very, very focused on making sure that you get your return on your investment because you've invested in us in a real way.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's kind of complicated. I mean, there are some benefits, I guess, if you're a new creator to take a press trip on exchange, and that would be like, it will help you build your portfolio that you might not have. It builds future connections. So maybe it's like a seeding kind of thing where you're working once and you do it, and then you've shown them, you've proven yourself, and so the next round you might get a paid collaboration. Um, if it's shared, sometimes you can build from that brand's audience. Um, there are some dream experiences that you might not do on your own by doing that. But at the same time, taking a free press trip can be exploitative. It can be, it lowers our industry standards, which I think is a big one. And sometimes, like, you can be overused as an influencer, so they'll build our itinerary so much that you're just exhausted. So you have to have something there that's going to make it worth it for you and protect you, sort of. So yeah, it depends. There's a lot of factors, you know, how much content they want, and then how fast do they want this content? How is the content going to be used? Yeah, time, experience that you have coming into it. There's a lot of factors that you have to consider before you accept an unpaid collaboration.
Yeah, for sure. I think from personal experience, it's the trips like that is always when I see the most sunsets, just to wake up early enough to get something done before you get on the road.
Yeah.
Um, that also kind of takes us into this fine line between journalists and creators, and a lot of people do both, and how some trips, the free trips that you get to go on, they just have an expectation of you producing an article or something like that, versus the offers that come with a list of deliverables that you have mentioned. We've seen in a study, and I think Threads has a lot of conversations about this as well, that a high number of creators will just never agree to a set of deliverables without pay. Is that one of your deal breakers as well?
Yeah, if you're going to give a big set of deliverables, then I think that should be compensated, because there is a lot of time, and it's cheap it's affordable for the brand, because if you think about it, like, we come and we give up our time, we're there all day shooting, we shoot it, we create the storyline, we're in it, we edit it, we put the text on the screen, we do the marketing for it, like we push it out on our channels, we come with all of the gear, like all of these things that, like, if you were to like separate that into different little fields, it would be quite expensive. So when an influencer is like, I would happily do this for you for $2,000, at the end of the day, it's probably fairly affordable for the brand, respect to the alternative, especially when you're getting video content, you're getting written content, you're getting social media exposure, you're getting real-time stories. I guess, but this has never personally happened to me, where a brand would send you on the trip and just let you create your own set of deliverables, like what you think is worth it. That's never happened to me, but I guess like in that case, then it would be okay as an exchange because there's no like hard set of deliverables. But I think if you're going to include that hard list, there should be some compensation to your creator.
That's fair. Aside from money, is there anything else that would make you say no to a collaboration to a trip?
I guess like, yeah, outside of compensation, it would be no clear contract, of course. I think contracts are important. I think contracts are important to protect either side, to make sure that I'm giving you what you deserve and that you're also taking care of me in the way that we've agreed upon. I think no conversation of usage rights. That's also been a really big one, whereas like you're creating a piece of content and you post it on your page and then the brand downloads it and reposts it on theirs because they just don't know that that's our likeness going out there for them and our storylines. I think like all of that has to be very clear before going on a trip. I might say no because of timing conflicts. Sometimes I've had it where they've come like, can you leave in 2 weeks? But we have a lot of time, like we're travel creators and we're trying to organize our schedules, and like sometimes that does happen, and if I can do it, then I have to reshuffle all the projects that I had and kind of disperse them. So in that case, like there's a reflection on how fast your content might come out. I think ethical concerns are also important. So in my world of adventure travel, it'd be like, is there wildlife tourism? And like, how are we going to go about our wildlife tourism? Because at some point you're going to have to step up and say, like, I don't know that I would agree with advertising that because of these ethical issues. Maybe creative limits or creative control. If the brand gives us a too tough of an outline that steps out of our storytelling, I think that's also something to take into account for. And then also just general communication. Like, I like the brand to be communicative and myself as well. So like if I'm sending messages and I'm not getting responses, it's a little bit of a red flag. So there's a combination of things that would have me say no outside of budget, and they pretty obvious, I think, though.
Yeah. Those are all good standards to have. Thank you so much, Kimberly. We will come back to you, but for the time being, we're gonna move over to Felix to talk about affiliate marketing. And it's something that we'll return to Kimberly about as well, but as our study showed, something about 45% of creators earn through affiliate marketing. For a lot of people, it's a really great way to earn passive income. And so from your side, Felix, have you noticed any patterns and the kind of creators that drive bookings on Stay22 right now?
Of course, and it's a great question. It's something that changed a lot, I would say, over the last 2 years. While historically we were mostly looking at creators who had just a sheer volume of high traffic to convert, this changed a lot throughout the past Google updates. And now I think it's worth looking at the performance of a creator regardless of their size or traffic volume. And for that, I tend to look at more as, how many sessions does it take to convert a booking? And so if we look at that, our top creators right now, I would say can be summarized in 4 specific pillars. They either have a very specific niche, whether it's LGBTQ plus travel, or a very weather dependent, location dependent kind of content, let's say travel and surfing, for example, or something that is very specific like walking tourism, or any kind of content that caters to a very specific community or an audience in a specific language, like we see a lot in Europe, for example. Then the second pillar I would say is the creators who are performing well right now are those who were either not already heavily SEO reliant before the first Google updates, or adapted very quickly to diversify their traffic sources as soon as their traffic started dropping in late 2023. Then third, I find creators who are deeply connected with their audience on a regular basis, who think more about, hey guys, where do you want me to travel next? Where do you want me to go? Instead of, oh, here's where I've been the last couple of weeks, and this is the content I write about, can pull the card of the game more. And then lastly, those who have a good performance right now are those who really invested a lot of time in research in optimizing content monetization, whether it's about link placement, supply management. They reframe their content to include more affiliates, or they leverage their content using AI-powered tools like Stay22 offers with Nova. So they might have one or four of those pillars, but if we look at their conversion over time, these creators who show these kinds of work values or the way they manage their business time and time again are performing well. And I even looked at a list of those creators, and despite some traffic tanking over the last 2 years, their overall conversion has been consistent over the last 2 years, and in some cases has increased a bit more, even if their traffic dropped. So it's very interesting to consider that. It's not because you have over 100,000 visitors a month that you're qualified to work with affiliates. We have some very small blogs who make a surprising amount of bookings every single month.
Amazing. And do you find most of the links that people use to share their affiliate links, are they on the website, or are there some coming from social media or YouTube? How are people sharing?
Yes, it's mostly coming from websites. We have some people, very resourceful people, who tend to use some links in their email newsletters. Some people sell PDF guides, which they include affiliate links. It works a bit with social media and YouTube, but we're working on some pretty cool stuff for creators who leverage social media to monetize their content.
Exciting. Okay, Kimberly, how much of your income would you say comes through affiliate?
I am an affiliate conversion this year. It wasn't something I focused on until this year. I kind of reevaluated and put a lot more effort into it. I got Stay22. That was definitely something that pushed me into that direction. And now I'm actually making quite a bit off of affiliates. So yeah, I'm a full convert. I found a lot of success with direct hotels on my individual pages. So I'm the type of person, when I make my post, I'm going to go through, and then it takes time. I'm going to go hand select all the hotels and whatnot that I'd advertise. So if I'm talking about like the city of Toronto, I would pick all of the neighborhoods and then put the top places that I would stay in those neighborhoods. And that's been very successful for me. I also am lucky that I can harness the power of social media, because I am on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and YouTube, all with a following. So I'm also the type of person that's put affiliate links in my stories. So like if I'm staying in a hotel, like I was just in Sri Lanka. So if I'm staying in a hotel in Sri Lanka, there's no reason I can't, when I post the view of that hotel, put that affiliate link in my story and have that convert. I also do it with clothes and travel brands and having them in my stories. I have a landing page in my bio that has a list of all the like things that I am connected to with as far as affiliates go. So this year, it's really altered my income, because I've never really focused on it. And now I'm like, okay, I need to dive more and more and more into this, because it is that passive income that's always going to be there. Also, like packing lists, like catering articles on my site to affiliate links, so the best places to stay in, or best hotels in Antigua, Guatemala, or like packing lists for Belize. Like all of these are articles that are evergreen, that are kind of molded to support affiliate links, and that's also been very successful.
Okay, so specifically creating to accommodate those links in an evergreen manner online.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add Ashley to stage. We'll do a quick roundtable on, let's start with maybe expectations. Ashley, what is your typical expected turnaround time after a press trip?
So if we're talking traditional earned media, that can run the gamut, right? Um, y- it depends on. There's so many factors that we look at when it comes to traditional earned media. I will say that many of our clients in the regions that we represent are often looking for stories that they can see published prior to the end of the contract term, based upon how they report their results up to. Government officials, be that the governor, president, et cetera. So sometimes, if that's a requirement from our clients, we are really taking a close look at media individuals in the media that can help us with a quick turnaround. If we don't have that restriction, and people have kind of like a longer term vision, we understand that sometimes for really reporting a really in-depth feature story can take a year plus for publication. So we use that liberty when we can, but we aren't always able to do that. In terms of creators, we are usually looking for a 2-week turnaround time for in feed content, and real time or kind of immediately upon return stories content. We are really sensitive to the fact of, not everyone likes to post in real time for safety security reasons. So certainly we have some leeway with what that looks like. In terms of longer form YouTube content, or other more involved campaigns, we are typically looking at 4 weeks on the very low end, 4 to 8 weeks, usually for everything to be finalized and go live.
Nice. Okay. And Kimberly, what is a reasonable expectation for you to pump out content after a trip?
I fully agree with Ashley with like I post my stories 1 week after. So as soon as I get home, the day I get home, the day that I'm leaving is when I start my stories. For a couple of reasons, safety and security is definitely important to us, but also just accessibility to Wi-Fi, meaning that I can post them at a regular schedule so that people can follow them. So that'll be the whole next week. And then for me, it's usually as a social media content creator, so that being my Instagram, TikTok, the short form video, I like to have them done between 2 and 4 weeks after. Now, of course, it depends on the amount of content, the amount of deliverables, like the type of content. But 2 to 4 weeks, I think, is a totally reasonable time to get your content out, because then it feels like your audience is really on the journey with you, because you've posted the stories and they're following the stories. And then as soon as you finish your stories, you kind of lean into your social posts. So they're kind of on that consistent journey with you. So I think that's kind of like, I wouldn't want to wait too much longer for mine, because I think that then it falls out of line with the stories that you've gathered them from. So 2 to 4 weeks.
Great. Seems very reasonable. And as a kind of to wrap up the roundtable portion before we get into questions, what are some of your kind of like quick do's and don'ts on the press trip from each of your side? This could be a funny story, serious, something to share.
For us, the most important thing I think is to just go into any sort of press trip opportunity as a partnership, and being, really upfront, honest, and clear about what what our needs are on the marketing side, and what our clients' expectations are, as well as what your needs are as a journalist, a creator, photographer, etc. Because we want to make sure that those align, and that if there are specific experiences that you need to capture or experience or research, et cetera, in destination, that we're going to be able to accommodate that. And I feel like this is very straightforward. It's not like a fun story. Maybe I'll think of something before we wrap this session up. But yeah, for us, that's that's the most important thing, because we want everyone to have a clear expectation of kind of what they're going into, and what's going to be feasible, and what might be more challenging. And just if a trip doesn't work out one time, that doesn't mean we're going to write anyone off forever. Hopefully the next time an opportunity comes around, there'll be a better fit or whatnot. But we try to plan our trips in a small group format, simply because, again, we're international destinations. We're looking at a translator or a guide oftentimes for certain experiences. So that helps. That's helpful to us. But within that group format, we'll do all we can to meet individuals' needs. And we try to plan our trip so it's not packed activities back to back to back, because we know that is not really conducive to success for anyone. And then beyond that, we just want to work collaboratively to come up with the plan that makes the most sense for everybody that's participating.
Gotcha. So clear expectations, open communication. Perfect.
And I'll say, in terms of maybe like just an anecdote, and this is many years ago, but I always think about it. One of the first fam trips that I was ever part of leading, we were doing a pretty intense hike. And Kimberly, you could probably, attest to, I don't know if you've ever seen anything like this in the adventure space, but we were doing a pretty intense hike in the Caribbean. So, hot and sunny conditions. And I said to everyone, you are welcome to step out. No one is, and no one has to do this, but I need to know that everyone feels confident in your kind of physical ability to take on this hike and be safe. And here's what it's going to entail, et cetera, et cetera. I would say half of my group said, yes, I'm in great physical condition. And I think we get halfway up the mountain, someone's stopping for a cigarette break. Somebody else is, and like kind of like sweating profusely, like I can't make it anymore. And I'm like, oh man, I wish you had just been honest with yourself and with us, but also with yourself. Like, no harm, no foul, right? There's ways that we can pivot, but we want to keep things like safe and enjoyable too.
Gotcha. Kimberly, a quick one from you.
That's funny. I have a lot of same points as Ashley, to be honest. Do be very like open with your communication and with your expectations. I kind of separated mine into do's and don'ts for influencers and brands. And for the influencers, like I said, like, do be on time in the morning, because oftentimes the brand has packed our schedule full. So we're quickly going from place to place and trying to get everything that will make the best piece of content. To be on time. And also, don't request last minute changes, because I have been there where I got to a destination and one of the influencers says, like, I can't eat at 7. So like it forces the brand to like reshuffle our entire schedule so that people are eating at like 5. Which would have been fine if they had said it before they got there. So last minute requests are not super useful. And I also think for influencers that they should make sure that they've researched the country and the brands, that you go in knowing exactly what to expect and what to look for. And then for the brand side, you had touched on this, but sometimes the schedules that they give us are very, very stuffed, very, very full. So we get tired, if you want the hotel content, then we have to wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning to get it then, because our first activity will start at 7. And sometimes we're eating food in the car on the way. And, then we do the big dinner at the end of the day, and you'll get out to like 11 or 12. And so you're tired. So like as the week goes on, content starts to fade a little bit because you're tired. So I think it's also really important for brands to like give a little space. And to go along with that, I did a fam trip press trip in the Caribbean as well. And I just remember like we had a tight schedule and we were trying to get all this content, but at the very last day or second last day, the brand actually just gave us from like 12 till 4 p.m. to be at the hotel. Now in that 4 hours, a ton of very successful content was made because it allowed all of the influencers to collaborate ideas and be in each other's videos, which is extends the reach for the experience anyways, because now it's me and then in the same video. So like in that a couple hours where they just gave us the freedom to be creative and then collaborate, we ended up coming up with so much viral content that was really successful because we had time to just and then also, please make it easy. I love when brands make it easy to share. So I love receiving your hashtags, your tags, a general little brief before that has all the information that we need so that we could share and reshare the content. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, we are going to get to your questions shortly, but while I quickly look at questions with Jasmine, we're going to give our friends at Stay22 the stage to share a few interesting updates.
Yes, thank you. Tapping into the report that was published with Travel Massive earlier this year, we kind of realized that more and more creators are voicing their opinions out, basically. So yeah, more creators won't give away their images for free anymore or commit to deliverables without a real compensation. It's something that I've heard a lot over the last year or so, that we have some creators who tend to stop reeling a bit on sponsorships and paid content with brands and DMOs to focus a bit more on their affiliate income. So they don't have any deliverables. They can do things in their own time. They can build their own program and then monetize using affiliate links, which is why this trend is becoming more and more present in the space. And it's all about getting fair, flexible, and scalable revenue. And we're all up for that. I love saying to my clients that we're not just an affiliate network. We're here to help you grow and grow together on both sides of the fence. Following up on that, at Stay22, we're committed to building something that is meaningful for creators. You guys are bread and butter, and we always say that our best goal is to help you win, because if you don't win, then we don't. This is why we keep improving on real-time reporting dashboards. You can always reach out to my team or the partner success team at Stay22. These tools have been built by real industry experts in collaboration with very engaged creators over the years. Using AI, we want to make sure that you can monetize your content almost automatically, but I'd rather say autonomously, because you have full control over your digital assets. But we're just here to give you a bit of a kicker to earn more. And we just keep growing. We have so much ideas in mind, and we have a big roadmap of new products, supply, and new frontiers to explore with you guys in the near future. Aside from just joining Stay22, if you're already partners, there's always room to do more. I love working with engaged creators who not only want to make more money, but also make a difference in the space. We have an amazing and very generous referral program that you can sign up your friends to, your family, your grandmother if she wants to start a blog. You just have to scan the QR code right there. And as, again, we're expanding into new products, we have right now an ongoing beta test with YouTube using AI features. And we're always looking for more testers. So scan that, it's going to be amazing.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Felix. I am going to pull up some questions, and most of these questions seem to be for Ashley. Yes.
All right.
We have a lot of creators in this group, and they do have a lot of questions. So there is a bit of a topic consensus between a lot of these questions. So I'm going to summarize them in a few separate ones. Do you work with smaller creators, people who only have about 10, 15,000 followers?
Great question, because I just realized that was one of my points I didn't get to in the early conversation. So I'm glad someone asked. That is, micro creators are definitely a space that we've had our eye on, in particular over the last 12 to 24 months, I would say. And our philosophy as an agency, and our belief is that there's a lot of opportunity for real success, and real conversion working with micro creators. We have a program that's going to launch that has a micro creator component this fall, but I will tell you that it's the first that we're doing, oftentimes because we as an agency are up against directives from higher ups in the client kind of ecosystem, who are used to seeing big numbers and big numbers that increase over time, whether those big numbers represent strategic results or just numbers. That's a different question. So I think, if it was up to myself and my team, we would be doing a lot more with micro creators right at this moment. But I think it's taken a bit of an educational process with our clients to advise them on why that sort of strategy, is really going to benefit them in the long run in specific markets, and help with our engagement and the ultimate results of what we're doing, much more than like a large impressions number will. So I think we work in governments, have the tendency to sometimes work slow. So it's on our minds, but we aren't able to act on it as quickly as we probably would have liked, as
Gotcha.
we would like as in large scale.
I heard similar sentiments from a lot of other DMO representatives and PR companies. A lot of people are curious because there is still a lot of emphasis on Instagram and TikTok. But what about things like very large and active Facebook groups or even blogs who have a much better staying evergreen power? Is that something that your team focuses on or tries to educate your clients about?
Facebook groups we have not, I will admit, not done a lot about, simply, or done a lot with in recent years, simply because it just hasn't really fit into most of our clients' strategies. Um, Blogs, I think, are definitely of interest to us. We haven't put a big focus on blogs recently, but we have in the past, especially when we're looking to target very niche, um, areas, or very niche demographics. For example, we did a campaign. Sorry, I'm just going to plug my computer in in a different way really quickly. I don't want you to totally lose me. Um, we did a campaign several years ago that was, for one of our clients in China, and it was focused on kind of reaching that older segment, of travel consumers, baby boomer, older Gen X, and there's some great influencers that have, specific blogs and Facebook followings that are going to reach that niche audience, and that worked really well for us, in that respect. I think with everything that's been going on, with Google and whatnot, and self-publishing over the past few years, it's really important for us to just kind of know what's happening, with each creator we're speaking to individually, and kind of how you're pivoting to counteract the challenges that are out there in the marketplace, and make a case for why, why your platforms might be, a good fit for us. So it's really so that I would say we look at like on a case by case basis, but certainly from the client side, like Instagram and TikTok, are still really kind of like kings of content, in most of our clients' eyes, I would say,
Gotcha.
and
Okay.
YouTube when the budget's there.
And let's say like top three things as like a single word that you see as ROI. Like what would you see as ROI? Numbers on Instagram, what else?
Engagement, certainly, engagement, um, hitting hitting the mark on content inclusions and content format, showing your audiences how to experience the destination, like having helpful, um, actionable consumer-driven content. I think for a DMO is wildly important. And shares and views is a metric that we look very closely at as well.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley.
Sure.
Felix, question for you. Do you work with
Yes.
boutique lifestyle and travel advisor agencies? And if you do, what do you require from them to work with them? And while we're here, I'm going to put on your QR code.
We don't work with a lot of them at the moment. Right now, I'm trying to do a bit of research with tourism boards, DMOs, and organizations like these to better understand what they need from creators. We're trying to create a space for the bloggers who work with Stay22 to have a better access and can provide more data to tourism boards and organizations to establish fruitful partnerships with them and to help them speak the same language. Something that I hear quite a lot, and I'm very happy to hear more that DMOs in general are making an effort to include more and more travel bloggers on top of influencers. I see you put back this last slide here. So if you allow me to drop a last word about this, 1 minute? Yeah, okay. So we recently published a really interesting case study on our personal blog, but it's also on Travel Massive right now. Right after the last Google update in June last month, we've observed for the first time in over a year and a half, I would say, a good increase in traffic across the board for bloggers, which is about 18%, if I'm not mistaken. So if you need a sign to start working on your affiliate strategy, now is the time. So you have the QR code right here to sign up to Stay22 if it's not done already. And then get access to me and my team to come up with a plan. And then we'll be more than happy to help you grow alongside us. Thank you.
And they do that. Thank you so much, Felix. They actually do put on a personal touch on that. I think I can speak from experience. Kimberly, a quick question for you. As a creator, how do you consistently create tailored emails to all of these DMOs and brands? That's a lot of work. You're on mute.
Oh,
okay.
I'm back. No, it's a lot of work, honestly, and I am a one-man show. So it is just hours and hours and hours. I just dedicate my time to it. Basically, anytime I have free time, it can be used for that because I do this full time. It's my only source of income. So if I stop pitching and stop tailoring all my emails, and I know that a tailored email that's specific to the brand, that's not a copy and paste or something from ChatGPT, that doesn't work because they know, because I would know if I receive, whenever someone uses the ChatGPT to send me an email, I know based on how it's written and the terms that it uses. So I think that for me, it's just a significant amount of time put in. I will, if I'll go get a coffee and I'll bring my computer to Starbucks and I will just sit there and focus on making sure that I have written personal emails to everyone. It's just time and effort. I think anytime that you're a contract freelancer and you're a one-man show, it's just a lot of personal dedication and time, because if you want results, that's what you need to do.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. The personal ROI is worth the time, right?
It is. It forms like Ashley had said, like you're trying to form a partnership, it's really collaborative between you and the tourism board or the PR firm or whoever you're working with. And so you want to be able to be personally connected to them. So the time that they know you and you know them and everyone feels safe and comfortable. And so, yeah, there is a return on that investment if you're willing to spend the time.
Thank you so much. We are pretty much at our noon time mark. Thank you so much for joining. We know we have a few more questions left, so we'll work on getting some answers for those to send to you when we send the follow-up email with the live stream rewatch. While I have you here, I also wanted to share with you that we have a very cool event coming up in August. in Vietnam. It is the first ever Travel Massive Conference. It will be free to attend, and you can find all this information online, or I believe in chat. In a moment, you can find the live link to it. Thank you again for all of you for joining today. Please stay in touch with us on Travel Massive. If you're a member, if you're not a member, do join. And keep an eye out on all your emails about upcoming events coming up around the world and online like this one. Thank you and have a great day or evening, whatever time it is for you.